there is a lot at stake on both sides. Of course, FAV, they're looking to better Talon's result and keep themselves away from relegation, whilst Mantis, they have got an auto qualification for the major on the line here and need to better whatever Guts do today. So it is extremely tense. It's one of the biggest games, not only of the day, but of the stage, realistically. And it's going to be played out on Cafe. You say praying Mantis, I'm going to be asking, will Mantis be praying come the end of this one?
They may or could be, or even doing it before the game begins, again, given the importance. Those 2 wins from FAV's last 5. Look at those and just think, it's a time to add a third in there. This would be the game to do so. Bans are flying through, though. The first one for FAV coming out is the Thatcher, the go-to bread and butter ban of Siege at the moment. The Nomad following through not long after. Some teams just foregoing Nomad altogether on this map at points as well, but I feel against teams that like to go as wild as they do, the Nomad's never a bad one. And this, I really like this ban because I always talk about the difficulty for a lot of APAC North teams to deal with the Castle and Aruni setups inside of, say, Cigar Shop. This just removes that potential difficulty coming in and makes life a little bit easier for Mantis on the attack. Give them a good start to the game, get 3 rounds on the board, maybe 4, press onto the defense and look to walk away victorious. I like it as a target ban, to be honest.
Absolutely. It could well mix things up. We'll see as we're getting into the map now. We're going to be loading into round 1 very shortly. FAV will kick us off on the defence. Mantis need to come in here, get aggressive on the attack, and they need to find themselves as many rounds as they can. Just give themselves every advantage when they come into that defensive half. We know that the defenders don't have too bad a time of things on Cafe a lot of the time. It's one of those that's probably closer to even than many of our maps. You tend to see days where the attackers do well, defenders do well. I just think back to Virtus Pro attacking on Cafe. They were practically unstoppable.
For me, for a good while, and then this stage we saw them come up against G2, and it was like they were trying to stick their head through a brick wall. It didn't go so well, exactly, did it? Until WTG became the battering ram that was so sorely needed. But our conversations about EU can wait for another day. Reading of Fireplace, well, we opt to start this game. Now, Aruni is present, no Castle, as we spoke about that ban already coming in. On the other side, well, that Flores is there. Feels like probably half the teams in the competition, the same similar story in EU, have taken to Flores and enjoy bringing him out, not strictly all the time, but definitely in more certain specific situations. Charles, the one who will be championing that operator today.
Top floor setup is going on then, so what you're likely to see from this one, if you're maybe a little bit newer to Siege, maybe wonder exactly what the attacker's going to bring here, how they're going to go about this one. We've got a very nice view of our top floor there. The site, of course, is on the floor underneath, but as you can see, there's a lot of wooden floorboards there, and that's a big visual clue for you that a lot of that floor is destructible. Can be broken apart, you can get vertical angles down into sight, and that's exactly what the attackers are likely to want to do. They've got Envy Taylor playing on the book. His skeleton key gadget can rip through soft surfaces. It's going to allow him to get those angles. So by contrast, FAV, they want to commit men up there. They want to commit utility and resource up there because they want to stop that happening. There's going to be a big battle, particularly around the eastern side of that, the cocktail balcony area that's directly above Reading. Once you've got control of that as the attackers, you should be able to move in and get a plant inside of the reading room door. So that's going to be the focus for Mantis initially. Get into the top floor, force away the roamers, such as Afro. I think number 2's up there on the Goyo as well. They need to force all of those guys back. They need to get control of top floor and then start that vertical destruction. That's step 1.
Always, and I like to put a timer on it normally when we're attacking the downstairs here, a little bit different. It's weird not seeing a sledge for once, isn't it, as well? We're so used to seeing sledge being brought along. But if you watched Jesse's little segment about Buck, maybe you missed it on the EU show, there was a lot of interesting angles that were being shown there if you are playing on a Buck, and I've no doubt Envy is looking for those. Deals with the C4 below very comfortably, only for Afro to open the scores on the doors in this round. Harper the first to fall.
Manages to find that one, and it's a big start for FAV. Getting the kills onto the attackers here when you're attacking in the mid-floor is great, because what it does, Des, it erodes that capability for them to take top-floor control. And as soon as Mantis have to give up on top-floor control, the round is almost won at that point for the defenders. If they can hold on to that area, it's going to be a big bonus for them. And taking early kills like that onto the Iana, taking nades off the board, it is a big part of it. There's still work to be done as Envy and Nova, they're looking to push in here and continue the top floor clearance. But right now, Envy, he's getting to the meat of this. He's going to start coming up against the utility that FAV have put in place to try and hold onto this top floor. He's going to be coming up against that deployable shield at Lumber. He's going to be trying to use the long angle, but the reinforcements are in place to prevent him doing too much damage from his current location in Washroom.
Looking towards the time on this side as well. 45 seconds to play with here for the side of Mantis to make this work out. Still a man down. Envy Taylor, the one pushing his way up towards White, looking for that clearance on the top floor. They've got it. There is no one up here anymore. But as we've already said, this isn't that site we're looking towards. The flank comes through. The flank comes out. Shyle trading one back onto number 2, but now Shin has got himself some presence on red stairs. So that'll always be in the back of the minds now of Mantis. And I say always, it's going to be in 30 seconds that it'll be there. Nova's looking to work his way forwards, but with no control yet around these sides, very little information being collected on it. This could be a bit of a push. Round comes one. Lugator, shotgun to the face of Nova, brings him down. You've got Envy hanging upstairs above, but I feel this one's a little too late here, Tim. Jump into the waiting arms of a shotgun. It's a freebie for Lugator again. A second in the round with the shotgun. Envy finding one more, but in a 1 versus 2 and 3 seconds to play, this first round is going the way of the Japanese side. FAV 1-0 up.
Well played by FAV there. I like the flank on red stairs from Shin. He got his job done. He interrupted, he disrupted that attack by hitting them on the flank, getting himself a kill, but he didn't overcommit to it. Nope, I'm going to go back to site and I'm going to support my team down there. It seemed at the end there's like there was a little bit of a lack of information on the side of Mantis. When you're pushing into Lugator with a shotgun there, there's 2 factors. There's one, that they just didn't have another choice. They were running out of time. They had to try and push that utility room. They had to try and push down White Stairs. But as the swing came through, particularly the man from White Stairs, there was no pre-fire towards Lugator. There was no attempt to challenge into him. They just walked into that shotgun. And it just tells me that Mantis, they didn't really know that he was playing in that particular location. So maybe a little bit more work needs doing on the drones. They just need to be picking up exactly where all those players are, even with the late round rotations.
Yeah, I think it's the pace there was a biggie, as you mentioned. Down to about, 2 minutes and 30 gone, trying to clear out the top floor. Wasn't pretty. And look at the change that has come in as an immediate response out of static. They know how hard those flanks have hit them. The gridlock going to step in. Of course, bringing along smokes, which can be excellent when going for an execute itself. But here, I think the lean is in towards those tracks, which will help, stop side of FAV in their tracks, go to say, if you want to go for the punt on that one. Looking out towards things like the White Stairs, the Red Stairs control potentially as well. They're the 2 main staircases you want to worry about. And if you want to have a drone watching off towards Brown, also an option, but I don't expect we'll see the tracks committed in towards that. First port of call for Mantis should be, though, clearing out VIP, because there is a lot of utility. All 3 ADSs, a shield, the jammer, barbed wire. FAV really want to hold this down. It's almost like Ace. It's called VIP for a reason. The man in there, a very important person.
Certainly is very important, and we'll see how long his life can remain for. Now we have a little run-out attempt from FAV there, so I like what I'm seeing, Des, getting aggressive onto Mantis, letting them know that they're not going to have any opportunity to breathe in these rounds. They can't spend too much time thinking, droning. They've got to get in there, they've got to win the gunfights. And Static's gone straight up to the rooftop there with the gridlock. As you see, he's going to be looking to close off those stairs more than likely. The Track Stinger gadget, if you've not seen it before, it's a little sort of container is thrown out and it'll propagate track stingers all around it, which is sort of hexagonal barbed traps.
Like the Russian dolls, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly like that. I think there's about 20 come out of it. They'll spread around, different sizes, and if anybody tries to walk through them, it's basically like walking over a set of spikes. It's going to damage you. It's going to create a noise, or you can shoot it out, but of course, by shooting it out, you are going to alert the attackers to your presence. So that's what the gridlock is going to be doing.
Beautiful.
But I tell you what, before the gridlock does any of that, Des, she's going to be taking down number 2 for an entry kill.
I mean, 3 lines of fire coming in towards number 2 there, dead to rights inside a piano, and a good response. We've seen players inside a piano waste minutes, if not several minutes in some cases, but here dealt with very, very quickly, and FAV fairly so are saying, right, time to get ourselves back to site here. Let's not waste any more time trying to burn their time lest we lose another life on the way through. A drone taken out on the way back through, but that top floor control now established by Mantis. Now we can start looking at the measurements we love talking about, Ace. That 1 minute 20, 1 minute 30 mark, when normally a buck or a sledge will start doing those work. You can hear the tracks being deployed as well. They're getting themselves ready for that mid-stage of the round where it's about preparing for the execute, not so much actually doing the execute itself.
That's a big find. Find the yokai, take it down.
An Easter egg.
That's one gone. That's going to be a big, big help potentially. The yokai drones, of course, have the stun capability, so it works like a drone, except it can stick to the ceiling, and then through that visual feedback from the camera, they can also aim and target a stun, which can deny a plant attempt. It breaks that animation. So again, very important piece of utility, and a big, big play from Mantis to clear that out. Vertical angles being opened up now. Utility just being absolutely rained into sight. as we watch on, but for the time being, FAV, they've been able to hold themselves fast, but Nova, he's snuck in here, Des. He's under the cover of smoke, he's getting the diffuser down, and I'm not sure how aware they are. Nope, the Yokai was far too late. We see the attempt there, but it's too little too late as the diffuser is planted. Traxtinger's going out as well to make it more difficult for them to push into. We get a great view of that, so any defender will have to move across them. Harper from up on high manages to find one. Does he get himself a second? Yes, he does. Great reactions onto the door there. Only about 15 seconds left for the defenders to do something. Typon, he starts the process with a kill onto Shayo, but you got to say that this one is almost certainly over. Afro pushing in, knows where one is, gets a trade, but it will not be enough, and that is going to be a round for Mantis, leveling things up 1-1.
Quite a comfortable attack, all things in as well. I mean, we spoke about the smokes coming along on the gridlock at the round start. You're seeing their value there. If that smoke was not down in the main area out towards the west side of the plant, it would have been a clean line of fire through the soft wall that had been opened up between the sites to get the spray down and stop the plant happening in the first place. However, perfectly placed by Static on the gridlock. Full commendation to him. A good attack, and the track's also there just in case things did go bad. More of an insurance choice than anything else, but a good round for Mantis. 1-1. And now we've got a game on our hands, Ace.
Certainly do. We knew that there was going to be rounds for Mantis, and the thing is, you know, obviously shaping up with Guts where things could tie up, things could happen. Mantis are going to just want to get this one won by as many rounds as possible and just give themselves every advantage that they can. So it's very important that they start getting those rounds sooner rather than later. They don't want to let FAV get any sort of hold over them or any sort of momentum. Now, just have this, it's the second kill, the one onto the door. Harper did really well here, gets his first.
He should be dead here, really.
Yeah, he really should. As he just drops down, he sees the man and then gets the spray down. It was very well played by Harper, and it just gave them, as though the diffuser was down, it just really gave them that man advantage they needed to hold on to it as well. So coming into round 3, we're going to be up to the top floor. It's going to be the first time that we see FAV attempting to defend up here. They're not going to try the kitchen again. So this time, the attackers, it's going to be similar to round 1 where they want to get hold of the top floor, except it's going to be more limited to the left-hand side. Where we're looking now, Piano is going to be a really pivotal area. They want to get control of that and the cigar shop above it so that they can push into sight from there and sweep like a wave across the defenders.
There's something saucy for you. Number 2 running around with the shotgun.
Love a bit of sauce.
Impacts. That's someone who's booted up Siege and has been given the default loadout, and it's not running around with the MPX or with the C4 in the back pocket. It's definitely a little bit different, but we're all for the different play styles. I was going to comment at the start of the last round, you know, why aren't we seeing the Valkyrie coming out? But I think it's because we had the Yokais on side. When she isn't banned on a map like this, cameras will live outdoors normally and give you all the information you need to know who's repelling where, what run out is going to work. I think because you're seeing the shotgun, you won't see any runouts come out of the Valkyrie, but the information being fed back and forth that might enable, say, the Aruni or the Alibi or maybe even the Jaeger to give that a good go is there and available to them.
We see 1 or 2 defenders being picked up by the E1D scan, but I tell you what, it's going to be the last time as Typon shuts down Static for free, just watching him walk through that mining door. But Harper, he manages to get one onto Shintage to level up the playing field a little bit, at least for the time being. 4 versus 4, Nova taking a ton of damage from pillars, though he sees the knee of the man and he's able to exchange. But look at the drop, Des! Look at the drop! Number 2 comes in from on high and just deletes 2 with that shotgun roaring.
Where the Nora did he just come flying in from as well? Like, just appeared out of nowhere,
Cigar
blasted
hatch
through 2. Man's on a bit of a field day. Great couple of kills coming in. You are right. Yeah, the cigar shot one was left soft. Fair enough. And they managed to walk away with absolute murder there. The first time we've really seen a FAV roam workout for them. A couple playing on the second floor. Number 2 with the drop in. Looks wonderful, as does the prospects of winning round 3 for FAV. There's 70 seconds left and it's Shyle left alive. Now, I feel nervous when I say that it is Shyle left alive. Many who watched APAC North last year will remember what he and Envy Taylor did as a duo. And if you want anyone to be in a clutch situation, more than likely than not, you want it to be Shyle, working his way up towards red with 50 seconds left on the clock.
He's got all the time in the world here. He really has. He can take his time. He can just try and pin down these remaining defenders. The problem is he's got no drones in hand that he can use actively, so he's reliant on what is already out in the map. That's the first problem. And the second is that these defenders are dug in deep. He's going to move through from white. He's probably going to get picked up on that bulletproof camera, Des, as soon as he tries to come towards. He's also being pinged out by the Alba alibi decoy, and it was really a matter of time. Legator steps out from freezer, manages to get himself one. It was a valiant effort from Shayol, but you see there why the defensive setups are so important, the defensive utility. It all played in towards helping FAV to close out that situation and avoid a little bit of an embarrassing loss in a 1v2. There was a bulletproof camera feeding information. There was the alibi decoy feeding information. It was very, very difficult for Shayol to be able to move. Very oppressive.
And more changes coming in here to try and deal with that, it seems, right? The gridlock is making a return once again. They tried the line in the last round, but didn't really have the impact they were after. So here, it's a change away to having the Jackal in place instead. Maybe going back over to the Lion. Okay, no, the Flores coming in instead. I thought maybe we'd see it stick for, you know, more smokes if they really want it for an execute, but I guess in this case, 2 is enough on the Jackal. The Flores, where I feel slightly nervous about it, is more engineered towards looking for the actual site itself, for removing utility that is sat on site. Now, in that last round, they got nowhere near it. So, of course, the reliance here is going to be on that Jackal doing the work for them, finding out where those roamers are and shutting them down so the Flores can then get to work. It's just it's hedging your bets on being able to get to the late round comfortably is all I'm worried about, Ace.
Exactly that. We've got the share scheme skins just being flagged up at the bottom as well. Certainly worth a look. Some of our APAC teams have got some absolute belters in there. I would have to say that actually I think some of the absolute best, and they're all fantastic, but some of the absolute best that we've seen out of this stage of share scheme skins have come out of APAC.
APAC wins for me. You got the wild card on the F.
Wildcard, Talon. You've got the DWG. I love the Dan1 Kia one.
You know why you love it? I know why you love it.
You've got the FAV.
It's because it's Dan1 Kia.
There's some absolute beauties that have come out of it.
Cyclops, I think, just wins hand down.
It's very,
overall.
very nice.
It's
very, very nice. A lot of beauty coming out.
We were
of
definitely
it,
paid to say that, by the way.
A lot of
all those things.
I mean, we're paid to say everything we say, to be fair, Des. Technically.
We're not paid extra. It's the way to look at it. No, but for sure, they are definitely worth checking out. So many wonderful skins coming out in the latest release.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't say it if I didn't have a bunch of them on my guns.
That is exactly it.
That's the reality.
Oh, the Cavallo one's also gorgeous, of course. EU. On the book, shotgun. Well, shotgun, sorry, the rifle. I say shotgun because, of course, you see the skeleton key and think, oh, it's a shotgun. Not quite. It doubles up as both. Starting out, though, on the top floor. Nothing too surprising there. This is often how teams will base themselves, regardless of the site they're assaulting. And I compared this to when we were on... What was the site we were attacking the other day? And I used a comparison for this. I can't think of what it was. It will come back to me at some point. But there are a couple of maps in the game that you need to basically full clear the map before you can look at doing anything. And this is one of those. And we were discussing Flores earlier on. You know, is the nerve to take him down to 3? Is it to, at least on my side, reduce the explosion radius? Because catching like the ADS and the shield there, that's a lot of value in one drone.
It's an awful lot, as you say. That's completely cleared out Pixel Corner now. So that is basically going to push FAV away from Piano. It's going to give Mantis access. They're going to be straight in there as soon as they need to. They're not going to rush in ahead of time, but you know that it is available now. One of the FAV defenders, I'm not sure who it is, he's being pinged out something chronic, and I think that might just be the nade kill that we've seen come in there. Envy Taylor backs it up with a second, so that's going to leave us 5 versus 3 very quickly in favour of Mantis, and they're not messing about here, Des. Envy Taylor getting himself straight inside of the washroom, and he's looking to just clean up right now as he moves in through lumber. He's not wasting any time at all. Look at this information ahead of him. That is top floor control done. They can now start thinking about sight, and that is way faster than they had this last time.
And top floor is clear as the sky on a sunny day, looking good. They've managed to deal with the roamers that have given them problems in prior rounds. Number 2 not quite dropping through any hatches or any other hijinks in this round, playing on the Goyo, much more dug in towards sight. Both C4s have been committed. They've had 2 members die. This is the kind of round you look at on Mantis' side and say, right, we need to be closing this out. Double kill for Envy Taylor coming in. The 5v2 descends. For FAV, well, panic stations are abound. They aren't even on site, Ace. They're miles away. So much so that Nova can step in for a free plant here inside a reading. And now it's going to be the retake having to come in for these final 2 members. I don't feel too confident about it, but maybe they know something that we don't. Harper challenging one off onto White Stairs, shut down by Nova. This could be a flawless round, stepping in. Last one's on White Stairs, swing round from Harper. A flawless round, and Mantis answer back in emphatic fashion. 2 apiece.
Unfortunately for FAV, Des, they did not know anything that we didn't. We could see that one coming in the 2 versus 5 plant down. It was always going to be tricky, and they were shut out in completely flawless fashion. So we're going to be heading into round 5. FAV have got 2 more defensive rounds left, and this time they're going to mix it up, Des. They're going to be going to Fireplace and Mining Room. So they're going to be going to the what is usually the fourth choice site, to be fair, here on Cafe. It's the second choice on the mid floor. We've just seen Reading. We're going to see the alternative. Now, again, I would expect to see Mantis going in there and looking for some vertical control. They want to get hold of Piano because there's, again, a lot of vertical angles that can be played down into site to potentially deny a plant. So we're going to see largely the same, and that's my concern here with going to mining rather than going to kitchen is, do you really want to let Mantis just rinse and repeat what they've just done in a flawless round?
What makes me nervous about it is a lot of APAC teams, when defending this site, and we've only seen it a few times throughout the stage, very commonly will bring Castle along here just to help lock down some of those tougher to hold doors or areas. The double one coming in from the museum entrance is a great example. So without that, I feel they're a bit more exposed maybe, and it could come back to bite them. But again, they've clearly chosen to come here. They've got themselves a lineup they're happy with. However, on the other side for Mantis, they are doubling down on this anti-roam philosophy they're now having to deploy against FAV. Surprising no one, by the way, as that is a FAV specialty, being out and aggressive on the roam. The DKB and the Jackal coming in. Tell you what, Tim, I don't fancy being one of those roam players for FAV right now. If I'm Afro, if I'm Shin, the two that have been out of the roam for the most part so far, I'm feeling nervous.
Seeing the shield inside of barback storage there just tells us that FAV this time, they're going to play a higher line, Des. Yeah. They're going to play closer to Piano. Previously, when they were defending Reading Room, they were happy to play on the far right of your screen there, over in Cocktail. But this time, as I said, it's that bottom left-hand corner that's going to be important to Mantis, getting hold of and keeping control of Piano as the attackers. So this time, FAV, they shift themselves halfway across that top floor, and that defensive line becomes barback storage and it becomes pixel corner because they have to try and keep hold of Piano for as long as possible. The question is, can Mantis move them on as quickly as they did last time?
His Frostmat's already being pinged out as well by the attacking team just to make sure, hey guys, even if it's late round, don't forget these things exist. It can be very tempting to go vaulting through a sneaky little rotation that's been opened up, and in this spot, you've got to be so wary, but in they come a bit of a rush stepping in and no one's ready. Oh, they pinged it out! They knew it was there and they still jumped straight in. 3 kills, flurry back for the side of FAV. Nova, Static, left reeling at what the hell just happened to their beautifully, ornately laid out rush. It's been shut down. Static, the last man left alive, and we all know how 1v4s tend to go, especially when you're playing up against an MK14. This should be another FAV round.
Certainly should be, as you say. FAV more than ready for that one, Des, and how about the premonition of that Frostmat? What a beauty. We often see them put down.
Tim.
We often see, Des, it's never stopped me. It's never stopped me going in one.
Very true. Very true.
They can be pinged. They can be on comms. I can be told as I'm going through the hole, Aces Frostmat, and still I will go into it, and it certainly looks like the same case for MB. Now then, Static nearly finding one from above there with the yellow ping supporting his attack, but in all honesty, 1 minute 10 left to go, 1 versus 4, no real capability to get vertical angles that don't already exist. It's going to be a tough tall order for him, and I don't think we see this one. It's pretty much a FAV gaming round.
It is, yeah. Again, it's one of those times where we'll often say, oh, you know, a rush can work once if you catch a team completely off guard, but
it didn't then.
A rush's worst enemy, Frostmats.
Yep.
You understand now why they were going for the pings as well, just to make everyone aware of, right, if we're going to do this, be aware of these. And I think he realised a little bit too late because he did look forward as well on the buck. You know, was probably aware it was there, but just couldn't quite catch it in time. Lugator with the shutout just confirm what we thought we already knew. Turns out we did. FAV take round number 5, and we could be careering towards that 3-3 half that we said might come as a result of that castle ban coming through.
What a game we've got on our hands here, and I tell you what, Guts must be sat there absolutely rubbing their hands at the prospect of this. They're going to not get too excited until they see the second half. Once they get Mantis onto the defence, it may well be a different story, because as we stand now, FAV, they're locking it down on their own half, but will they be able to continue that when the onus is on them, when they have to take the initiative and get the attacks? It's going to be a little bit of a different story potentially, but Guts, they'll be pretty happy with the way things have been going so far.
I think they will be. You know, being at 3 rounds isn't bad. Like, ideally, you want this to now carry on and make it a 4-2 half. And I spoke a lot about the castle ban and how teams like FAV have been employing it to burn a ton of time out towards Cigar Shop. That isn't now really an option, normally used when defending the top floor rather than anywhere else. And here, that's exactly where we're heading, up to the top floor. We have, of course, only seen it the once so far back in round 3, which FAV did win. That was really down to their own game, though, on the second floor, if you recall. Number 2's crazy drop with the shotgun, a great example. They're not going to try and repeat that. So this is kind of a reset round. It was nothing really to do with the site. It was more down to Mantis losing out to the roamers. So now I want to see a much more site-focused round here to really see if FAV can hold their own on the top floor.
a little bit of a different ball game, to be fair, when you are up on the top floor trying to keep hold of it than it is, because basically the big difference here is, if you're wondering, you're thinking, Ace, why is it any different? Why is it any different for them to hold on to top floor when the site is there versus when the site's on the mid floor? And it's because you've got more utility at your disposal. When the site's up on the top floor, you can basically put absolutely everything in there as a defender to try and hold on to it, whereas when you've got a mid floor site, you got to split your utility 50-50. You got to have some on the mid floor on site still, but you got to have some upstairs as well. So you're just trying to hold on to the same space, but with less resources to do so. So that's the big difference here, and why FAV may be able to get this over the line and keep hold of the top floor when they've maybe struggled on other attempts to do so.
Safety of the Bucks shining through there as the C4 was placed up onto the hatch. A little bit late, I think, wasn't quite there, ready to pop as soon as he heard the Buck shots coming out. Unfortunately doing no damage back onto the side of the attackers. In come these Flores drones. There's 2 bits of barb there you can take out essentially for free. We'll find the one. Don't believe it will catch the second just yet, but guess what? There's still more of those drones to come rolling through. 3 more in the back pocket. And I do want to touch briefly on this hold inside a cigar shot, right? It's a very light one. They keep the wall reinforced. They've got jammers down. They've got the laser gates there to stop grenades or whatever being rolled through into cigar. It does give a little bit of free agency if the side of Mantis now just want to drop through and make their push. It's been opened up. They can't really play in piano because of the low castles again. So it is forcing FAV to play a little more defensively or off-site and on the roam rather than extending out and towards piano. So again, that ban from Mantis looking real good.
Certainly is, and right now FAV got a man all the way down on the bottom floor, potentially looking for a run out here. He certainly does want a run out. He's got that one-punch ability with the Aruni, so he can get through this barricade extremely quickly. And right now, number 2, he's just waiting for the opportunity, Des. He's waiting for the call. He's waiting for the information, but it ain't looking likely. It ain't looking likely.
Saitama's going to have to stay in the back pocket for a little bit longer today. No one-punch man stepping in for the barricade punch. Run out. The rest have already stepped their way forwards. Afro stepping up big with the LMG, though. The Auda being put to bear against Nova. Gets the shut down. And another one of those Flores drones removed. So one went off. I think a second went off inside of storage as well, meaning there is only one still in back pocket for Shyle, and we're in this final 50 seconds or so. Static on the push forward. The Gonsit's coming in onto the barbed wire. Alerts FAV as to his presence. The shotgun turned and ready, facing in towards Pixel. Shin daring him to step his way forwards, but right now no one is there. Shyle finding one. Afro and number 2, 2 more back their way. This could be the round they're looking for as they pick up the diffuser and start looking back in for the plan. It's a 2 versus 2. They know that Shin's playing on white. They've got the numbers they need here on site to make this work, as one more starting to work their way back at white. I believe he was seen on a drone. That's why you've got Harper watching out that way now. Cigar push potentially coming in here. Sees the man, an easy shutdown. Somehow Mantis to turn this back around. The diffuser stuck down on the ground, and number 2 has got to pull off a momentous clutch. But Tim, there have been so many times in this half where it's been late members of FAV rotating back to site once the plant is already down, and they're at a massive disadvantage. A slither of HP, a shut down by Mantis. 3-3 at the half.
Well played by Mantis there. I really like how they won that 2 versus 2, just how they managed the space that was available to them, held the man at the top of white. It was just fantastically well played. Great cover in place, get the diffuser down, and I love the focus. 3-3, and they're going to take the opportunity at the half here just to have a little bit of a longer break. There's Mantis calling for a tactical timeout, a little bit of a breather, and they can come in on the defense, maybe just reset a little bit.
I just get the impression after that wild half that you maybe do want to go, right, boys, settle ourselves down now, let's not get stressed out. We've got a job to do. We get to go into the defense now. Things should be a little bit better, but just make sure everyone's on the same page and fully reset out. It was a very explosive half of, the 2 play styles really coming to bear, where Mantis, super heavy objective focused team. FAV wanting to get out on the roam, be disruptive, stop them even looking at the site. And really, as we've gone from round to round, it has been, 1 for 1 for 1 for 1 for 1 the whole way through. There's never been a 2-round streak from either team throughout that entire half. It has been very back and forth in terms of which style was the more dominant. But now this is where it really starts to matter, I feel. For Mantis, they need to get, as a reminder, as much from this game as possible. A regulation time win, 3 points, gives them the best chance of making it to the major in that first place position. That does rely on guts, being going through to overtime or losing the game outright. So again, they can't guarantee themselves to be in first place from this game, but they give themselves an excellent chance.
Certainly do, as you say. It is reliant on what happens in other games as well, but Mantis just looking to give themselves the best possible opportunity. They're going to be going onto the defence now. Their first site choice will be that top floor of Bar and Cocktail. So if we have a look back at the defensive record on this site so far in this game, played twice, it's been 50-50 so far. There's FAV were able to lock it down in round 3. Round 6, however, with a successful plant, Mantis were able to get the win. So let's see if they can have a better success rate than FAV did previously.
So you're hoping for full reinforcement coming up on the top floor as well, looking out towards the west side. So just wanting nothing to do with any kind of extended hold inside of storage here, not wanting to challenge in towards piano. This is different. You know, normally the kind of thing you'd expect to see if there were no hard breaches being brought along or if you had a good way to deny it. And oh my, it's almost like that's been laid out perfectly for us, team, because they've got the Kaid on side. So really the focus here should be on denying Lugator away, or if you can get him early on with a pick-off, that would basically nullify most of the round coming through. There's the one from below that you can see being deployed in, and that will electrify that wall looking outwards. Both of them fully stacked up here, so a bit of work for FAV to do, but a great way, I feel, from Mantis to waste time.
It is, that's it. If Mantis, you know, can keep those claws hidden, if FAV don't find them and they're wasting time trying to clear them off, they'll be putting nades in behind the wall, trying to use their utility to do so, then yeah, it's going to waste a lot of time. If they do find them, it's a simple job of just getting in there underneath and getting them cleared off. But, as you say, it all depends on whether they see them or not. Pacey indeed, but the only thing moving quickly right now is Afro getting in there with an opening kill onto Harper. Envy manages to keep things level at 4 versus 4 with a kill for himself, and we've had what is one of those really early round flurries of action and kills, Des, but I think we're just going to see a little bit of a pause here from FAV. I think that's going to just force them to take the foot off the gas a little bit, step back, get on the drones, and just try to reposition, recalculate, and see what their options are.
I like how their focus has just said, look, forget about going in via piano, let's instead move out towards the east side, forcing their way in below, clearing out the utility room as well. Sure, going 1 for 1 in the process, but at least you have that east side control and no one can see for you from below. So all the right moves so far, grenade in hand, right idea, about a second out of timing, unfortunately, but look at the intel as well on the side of FAV. They've basically got nothing left here. They're playing blind. It's going to start feeling like, Tim. 1 on field, 1 in back pocket, and that's all they've got to their name.
Envy Taylor still on this mid-floor roam, still hasn't been shut down, and with 1 minute 10 seconds left to go, you can see the majority of FAV players aren't even on the top floor right now, Des. They're all playing in and around this mid-floor, trying to hunt down the roamer. They're not pushing towards the actual site, which is Bar and Cocktail. They're not getting themselves any sort of control or into a position to put the diffuser down yet, and that is going to become a problem for FAV. They are going to end up running short of time if they're not careful. You can see them still moving around, and it's like a deadly game of ring around the roses here. Envy Taylor's the floor underneath. They're completely unaware of his position at the minute. He's going to move back up red stairs, and this could be a big challenge from Envy Taylor.
He's getting his 10,000 steps in today. I think he's covered every single square inch of the map so far with how much he's been running around. Now he's back across from red, down towards white, and looking to make a push back up, potentially to challenge onto those walking up. But FAV, as you say, rotated completely off and have turned it on them here, moved over to the other side, but Shire was there waiting, perfectly positioned. Afro with 1 being taken out for a double kill, but 1 is still a clash on the other side. You've got no smoke canisters left, so it all falls down to gun skill and the shield as to who walks away the winner. Nova, a little bit caught asleep at the wheel there, it feels like. Lugator 1 back, the plant going down. Static has got to pair up with his man here to make this one happen now, but where is Envy? In he comes, 1 going down. The plant is now stuck. A 2 versus 2 ensues, and it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. West versus east. West side apparently coming out the stronger here. 1 stays standing. It's a double spray down from Envy. A quad kill in the round, and they take round 7.
Envy Taylor coming in big when Mantis needed it most. We watched him for the longest time through that round. We watched him for the longest time through the round, just lurking in and around the bowels of the map there, just waiting for his moment to pounce, and then it felt like it might have been left a little bit too late, the diffuser going down, and somehow FAV were able to get in there, even though they'd not really softened up sight throughout the remainder of the round. They got in there in the final stages. Nova, you called it at the time, I think if he wins his fight in Cocktail, things are a little bit different. Diffuser probably doesn't go down, but FAV took advantage of that fact, got it activated, but then Envy Taylor, what a performance out of him from barback storage, an important 5 seconds to close that round down.
A bit away with the fairest, I think Nova was, and that push came through, saw the man's head, but for some reason didn't go for the ADS, didn't go for the gunfight, and ultimately lost it out. But Captain Envy steps in when you need him most. Big round coming out, and finally that 2-round back-for-back kind of trade that we haven't yet seen throughout the game. It has been 1-for-1-for-1 constantly, has just been shattered by mantis. They move up to 4 and 3, and now FAV are the ones left reeling for ideas. What can they do to deal with these would-be roamers like Envy? Apparently, it's bring along the KB.
We're going to be moving to Reading, as you say, just anything you can to stop roamers. Like you say, you know, that could be the DKB, the phone calls that will come in will help to pin down where anybody is. Potentially a Jackal is another option that we're not going to see utilised just yet. They prefer the option of the DKB instead. So we'll see how effective that is in this round. Now, there's going to be a top floor presence once again, as I've explained previously. We're on a mid-floor site, but they want to keep hold of this top half if they can, for as long as they can. So Mantis, again, more aggressive presence than I would expect, or than we saw out of FAV on their defence, really. We've got 2 deployable shields. We've got 3 reinforcements, 4 reinforcements if you include the one in barback storage, all over towards this side. We've got an ADS in there. We've got a 3rd deployable shield. That's really high line of defence if they're trying to hold on to the cocktail side of things. What I want to see is how many men do they commit to it as well. Are they just putting the utility there, or are they going to actively play in behind it?
NEO seem to be the option. I mean, choices is all you can really think. Very different compared to what we saw in the previous round again, where everything was fully electrified. Here, it is basically fully opened up. And that's even with the fact that, well, depending on Reading and Fireplace, normally you see the reverse, where you hard reinforce that wall, play inside a cocktail and let them come to you. Whereas here, even though we're further away, we're down on Reading and Fireplace. There's a much more aggressive hold coming through, with Shyle even looking to tease it out inside of there itself. The Valcam's being deployed out, so all this information being fed back and forth. They'll know the drones are coming through. And you've still got Nova holding downstairs here, playing behind a mute jammer with the reinforcement, looking in towards mining. A very good but wide setup coming out of Mantis is the best way I can describe it so far.
Certainly is. Got a lot of presence up on the rooftop for FAV. They've not got themselves dropped into the map yet, but they do have the piano wall open, so they can start aggressing in there. That's a good Rotero drone, taking out the ADS and the Vulcan shield as well. And, of course, on the soft surface, opens up a vertical angle to the downstairs, so could be useful twofold when they do get established on that top floor, should they be able to do so.
Again, just quite impactful with their explosion radius on my side, probably a little bit much, but it is what it is. The focus still coming in on the north side, and they've got these Valkyrie cameras, of course, dotted around the top floor. The one currently sat inside of Piano is going to give them an absolute freebie. No doubt the sound coming in there from the Valcam. Envy onto Lugator to start things out as the phones ring out, but no one's home as no one is nearby from the side of FAV.
Envy pushing through now in barback storage, just looking to get aggressive onto these defenders as they try to collect the diffuser. He knows that they are pushing in. Here it comes. Shin with a beautiful pre-fire to take the man down. Shyle finds one, traded out immediately. 3 versus 3, and that's going to be top floor control in the possession of FAV Gaming. But how much can they do with it, Des, when there's nitros going off beneath their feet? That's the second time that we've seen the diffuser on the ground. It's collected once again, this time by Shin, but what a play from Nova. Could be very important. He's going to switch out to the pistol. He's got the shotgun on the Valkyrie, but beautiful. This could be a beautiful nade coming in through the drone hole, but no, he manages to escape just in time.
Just about, yeah. I mean, the nade could have been beautiful there, bringing us down to a 2v2 if it had connected. However, unfortunately, timing is not his friend. Nova had already backed away. Now forced to go a little bit desperate here, I think. Ace, 10 seconds to play. Storming the way in through the Reading door. Has anyone got the long angle? So far, the answer is no. Plant is going down. One may challenge on the door. One's near. Loses the gunfight. That's going to be this round done and dusted. Mantis find 3 in a row and take one hell of an advantage.
As expected, Mantis are starting to run away with things now that they've got themselves on the defence. FAV, they've looked a little bit lost at sea for me, Des, when it comes to these attacks. They've not been as effective as they were on the defence, and it's much more difficult as attackers to disrupt what the defenders are doing rather than the other way around. When you're on the defence, FAV in the first half, they can send roamers out. They can take that choice. They can hit them on the flank. They can try to be mobile around the map. But when you're on the attack, you can play off into the map all you want. But if Mantis aren't going to put players out there, if they're not going to come and challenge you, you can't really disrupt what they're doing.
I think it's a case of just FAV being a bit bewildered by what's been presented to them, right? Where you've got a man playing below with a C4, they've got a Valkyrie camera inside, they've got jammers down on the mining wall. Everything was just set up to kind of get in their way and say, hey, you've got to figure out this problem before you can deal with the main problem. And sure, they got rid of the Goyo shield that was inside of storage. That was just one problem of many. The Valkyrie cameras, the C4s, the men holding around inside a bathroom and playing behind those shields. There was just always another issue to get through. And if a team is kind of panicking in the dying seconds of a round and making a push forward, it just means they've run out of time to solve the problems that have been presented by the defenders. So really, you can give a lot of that to Mantis with a really cool setup, but also on FAV's side for spending 2.5 minutes even trying to get inside a piano in the first place.
Going to be heading downstairs to kitchen this time, and it's getting a little bit dangerous for FAV now. Mantis, 2 defensive round 2 wins. Bar and Reading both locked down. So now if they can go and get kitchen, it leaves them in a situation where they've had that complete rotation. Not only have they had a complete rotation, Des, but they've also got themselves onto match point if they win this. So then from Mantis's perspective, all we need to do is win 1 of 3 sites that we've already won all 3 of.
Easy, right?
At that point, surely you're going to be confident that you can get it locked down. Now, we've got the Kaid being brought along by Harper. That's going to be to electrify more than likely the bakery wall, and I'd expect some electrification in and amongst the hatch inside of Freezer. No, maybe not. Maybe he's looking for the bottom of red stairs. We'll see. But potentially, there's a number of options for that second artillery electrical.
I just like here that FAV have opted to bring along 2 hard breaches, right? Of course, you get the 2 extra nades that come in from the Maverick. Previously, that has been the Lion playing in that position. You've had the Fink step away to the Iana, so a bit of a change in tack overall, I'd argue, coming in from FAV. Oh, my word.
There you go.
I mean, that's one way to say, yeah, forget your Maverick, because now he's dead, and he was going to be their main weapon in the war against the Kaid. Doesn't exist anymore. 2 nades gone, hard breach gadget gone. Perfect start for Mantis.
It's worth mentioning as well, for anybody familiar with bandit tricking, where you get your bandits placed on the wall whilst the exothermic or the X-Kairos pellets, whatever it might be, is activated, the Selma charges, and it burns them away, the electricity. Hibana is the easiest to do that against. The reason that bandit is sometimes preferred, not too often anymore after changes that came into him, but that's another story. Kaid comes along, it takes longer for his electrical to activate once it goes onto the wall, so it's much trickier, especially if you're up against something like a thermite. Once that exothermite charge has been detonated, it's too late.
Exothermite is a much cooler name, by the way.
It is. I'm just mixing and matching as I see fit, Des. But against the X-Kairos pellets, it's a lot easier to catch them with those electroclaws. So there's potentially the option there if he's able to retrieve and play it off against the wall. We saw Saves do it in EUL fantastically the other day. That could be a real difficulty now that Maverick has gone.
Oh, they're just not even aware of where they are at this point. And even number 2 finding one back onto Nova, it feels like a consolation prize in yet another round that has gone completely awry. Static has tore them a new one from White Stairs with the MX Storm. 2 kills on the Alibi, the one completely unseen inside a piano. Again, just feels like when FAV get given a problem, in this case, a spawn peak and a little bit of trouble coming out of Static, they just crumble and have no ideas left on what to do.
Number 2 is going to retrieve that diffuser, so there's at least a point to the credit, but I'm scratching to find them at the minute, Des, as FAV, they continue trying to push onto the middle floor.
Shot.
What a shot coming in from number 2 there, managing to find one onto Static with a great headshot, and that just brings them one step closer. 2 versus 3, inching their way forward, but time is going to become a big factor here. They haven't really got any vertical angles opened up yet. There's only 50 seconds left to go, and they've got 3 defenders down inside of sight. No means of hard breaching anymore, so they're going to have to work through doors, and if that is something that Mantis have recognised, they can just position themselves accordingly to try and hold on to very specific key areas.
There's a big focus around Freezer, but I'm just wondering how and what they're planning to do with that information. Are they going to try and push their way down White and hope for the best from there? Number 2's found his way down Brown, actually, by the looks of it, and has got himself in a pretty good position. Sure enough, the Sledgers come down now to push in through Freezer's side. They know this room is clear because they've just checked it from above, but I don't think they're aware about the one currently playing inside a bunker. Surely the C4 now is a good time to let it go. Harper is right there. It comes out, but Afro's there first. Finds the shot. The 2 versus 2, 10 seconds to play. The plant surely has got to come down, but the flank comes through from MV. A double kill for him. It's match point stepping in now for the side of Mantis. 1 more to go.
I think Harper will be thanking Envy Taylor after the end of that round. Just kept hold of that nitro for a little bit too long, hesitant. Maybe couldn't quite hear the depth of the man or how far to throw it, but it was too late once he tried to release it. But for FAV, it just wasn't enough being able to get in and get that kill. It still left them behind as Envy Taylor just swept in from the flank and took the remainder down. So Mantis, they get themselves onto match point, and this is really sending a message to Guts now. As you can see, top right of your screen, it puts Mantis up into first place. Let's not forget, that is what we are playing for here. There is a lot on the line on both sides of this one. So it puts Mantis up into first place, which is the only auto qualification spot from APAC North for the Sweden major. So that is the first key thing. It's piling pressure on Guts because they are going to have to get a result if they want to challenge
a 3-0 result, not all 3 points.
They have to get all 3 points. They have to put out a big performance, and they're not going to have an easy game. They're up against Fnatic, let's not forget. So looking at FAV's situation, this could put them into a relegation wrangle as well.
It's just one of those games where, I mean, look, first to 8th, right, last all the way to top. It's chaotic, it's scrappy, it's what we love about
I love it.
North.
Absolutely love it.
Just glad that we're not one of the players is the best way I can describe
Yes.
it. I'd rather they be the ones going through this suffering than us.
Yeah, your nerves would be in tatters. I mean, we saw the emotion at the end of T1's season, you know, pouring out of the players in that interview, and
Literally.
quite literally, you know, it's always, you know, it's always clear to see just how much it means. And
I'll tell you what, the fact they've tried the second run out in a row shows, one, a little bit of confidence, and two, maybe a little bit of lack of preparation on the side of FAV, because if Lugator had gone down, that's their heart breach gone again.
Yeah, that's the key there. You've got to be ready for it. Now, Harper in underneath, he's going to apply that electrical from underneath again. It wasn't cleared out last time, just waiting for the ping so he can get it in the perfect location to make sure that all walls necessary are electrified. There we go. So it's going to make it, again, more difficult for them to get in. No Maverick on side, Des. They need to get underneath the FAV here and clear out those electricals.
They do. I mean, look at this. Again, spawn peek out of one side of the map, rotate all the way up red, and then look to challenge onto a hatch. Envy is covering, again, every square inch of this map. He's keeping himself busy, he's keeping himself moving and mobile.
Kills
something,
well.
I know, right, 15 and 4 is one hell of a return to form. No way to put it other than that. Nova finding number 2. The man who's been alive in a couple of late round situations. Hasn't quite done the business when required. But either way, removing Iana, some more for the frags offside, for example. 2 are thinking the back pocket is died, but as there are 3 left on the indicator, doesn't spell good fortunes for FAV.
Really doesn't. Afro trying to work from underneath here. Does get himself a little glimpse. Gets some damage onto Harper, but takes a chunk as well. Out comes the vertical nade, unsuccessful, as the K just dips away, gets himself on top of that miniature bar there, just to keep himself up and away from the danger. But with Afro underneath us, I would expect this electricity to get cleared off, but here we are. It's still in place. He hasn't got the electrical taken down as of yet, and it's hardly hidden.
It's a very strange thing to walk into a room and to see a claw dug into the ceiling.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. I think you'd notice that.
The thing is, you don't often look up much unless you're looking to break through a ceiling, right? And that's normally like a buck's job or something, and it's not a super high ceiling, but relatively high. So maybe it's just a case of not looking upwards when you step into a room. You're more likely to look down and look for things like drones than you are to look upwards. I think we heard it zapped out there, so maybe it has been removed out at this point, mind you. So should be able to step in a spot. Nope, still electrified. Lugator bringing one back onto Nova. So okay, the 4v4, but the lower that clock runs, the more nervous I get because the fact there is a clash. We've already seen how that played out earlier on Ace.
The thing is, I'm thinking at this point, FAV, maybe for going the piano wall, maybe for going, trying to move in from that side. We've got a lot of pressure coming in from east. They've got the window open onto Cocktail Balcony. They may be just taking the opportunity to think, you know what, we'll get straight in here. But you're not going to get in anywhere when Harper starts ripping you off the rappel with a nitro. That's Lugator gone, and that's Mantis once again with a good advantage now. 4 versus 3, 20 seconds left to go. This is going to be a bloodbath in the dying seconds. Afro pushing up white stairs. There's going to have to be men repelling in. Envy Taylor's ready for it, Des. He's got the long angle for that Cocktail Balk. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3 for Shiol as he finds those final men. And Mantis, they go top of the table for the time being at least.
Great game from Mantis. The 3-3 at the half, banning away the castle is probably the one thing again I'll raise that was a big advantage for them. This time he's got a dog and the mask. I bet his dogs are like, what's going on? Please explain. I guess we're happy about something. You're right, guys. They won 7-3. Brilliant defense, not dropping.